Midweek Murders contains graphic and explicit content. Listener discretion is advised.
The silence is me judging you.
I thought you'd just got drunk.
No, I don't have enough wine for that.
Are you expecting a delivery?
No.
Well, sucks to be you.
Well, at least I won't call you screaming at you.
As opposed to who?
You?
What?
Do you not remember
What you
that?
talking about?
When you got drunk, you called me like 6 times screaming at me.
No, I don't remember.
After a while, I just clicked decline every time you called, and you were like, ah! And I was like, stop calling me.
Oh yeah, I can see it on the 4th. Was it the 14th of August? That long ago?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did
4
you not-
calls at 10:30.
Did you not remember that?
No.
It was harrowing. At one time, I accidentally answered, and then because you video called me, and I accidentally answered, and then I was like, no.
Yep, that one went through.
You're listening to Midweek Murders, which means that it's time to talk about crime. With me is the one, the only, you're not so friendly neighborhood Ravenclaw, Joe.
I don't know what you're doing.
Changing it up a bit, keeping it interesting. You didn't like that.
I don't like it.
You're listening to Midweek Murders. With me is the one, the only person who will take a toaster with him into the bathtub. It's Joe!
Yay! And Sandra.
That's me. Today we're gonna discuss the murder of Rachel Nickell and others. They'll come up. Wait, that was probably a shit introduction. You're listening to Midweek Murders.
Oh, don't do it all the way from the top.
What are you doing today?
This.
What?
What?
Fuck my 6 pages of notes. Take it away, Joe. Spoiler alert.
I see they did.
Spoiler alert. It's about murder. Today we're going to talk about the case of Robert Napper, a serial killer and a rapist. I got my information from murderuk.com, Wikipedia, Crimes That Shook Britain, The Murder of Rachel Nickell, which I think is a series. I saw it on YouTube. And a Guardian article by Sandra Leville.
It's almost you.
I know. Almost, but not quite.
You'll never be Beans.
Oh yeah, my dad sent the video that my mom wanted help with for her work to another Sandra girl. I think it's a German lady because I've seen her on Google.
Googled yourself, that's a bit sad.
I have to because my mom does. So I have to know what's out there.
Are you a celebrity?
My mom does this and then she uses it for blackmail.
We both do. We do it together.
Ew. Where did you get your information from? I might ask.
Wikipedia. And some Guardian articles that I didn't pay attention to the authors of.
I'll hope you send them to me so I can put them up on our website. And if you're interested in learning more about our sources or photos of the cases, or maybe just look at our not faces, maybe you want to email us. Visit midweekmurders.netlify.app. Terms and conditions apply.
A small donation of £72,000 is required.
We will not accost you with pop-up ads, cookies, or any other kind of auto-playing video that you might... Yeah, I ran out of steam.
Lost it a bit there, didn't you?
Yeah, I ran out of steam.
But I will send you emails about erectile dysfunction. Enter at your own risk.
That is not true. Just so you know. It's not true.
Fine.
The case starts on the morning of the 15th of July, 1992, when Rachel Nickell was walking with her son on Wimbledon Common. There she was attacked by a man who stabbed her, sexually assaulted her, and murdered her. Her 2-year-old son was left unharmed, but forever traumatized. A knife is found nearby with fingerprints. The Metropolitan Police got on the case and interviewed 32 men, and then zeroed in on an unemployed man by the name of Colin Stagg, who had volunteered his contact information to the police as he had walked his dog in the same area that same morning. Even though there was no forensic evidence linking Stagg to the scene, a criminal psychologist had made an offender profile that suggested that the offender was a young man living alone with a possible interest in the occult. Which, why? I just felt like that was a weird jump to make. At a search...
Well, he had fuck all idea what he was talking about, so, just throw any shit in there.
Yeah, he'll come up again in the story.
Oh, I look forward to it.
At a search of Colin's home, they found some books in the occult genre. Certain that they had found the perpetrator, which again, question mark, the police launched a covert operation in the hopes of getting additional, it said, but I changed that to any evidence that would implicate Stagg as the offender. A police woman from the Metropolitan Police contacted Stagg under the pretense of being a friend of a woman who he used to be in contact with. In the course of over 5 months, she tried to get a confession from him by feigning a romantic interest, meeting him, speaking to him on the telephone, and exchanging letters containing sexual fantasies. Stagg, way over his head, wanted her to have sex with him, but voiced no violent sexual fantasies when pressed on that subject. The undercover police officer even went so far as to tell him that if he had done the Wimbledon Common murder, she would like him more. He answered, "I'm terribly sorry, but I haven't," which is so...
That sounds like a confession to me.
Yeah, but it's so incredibly British to be like, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but I haven't done this vicious attack." I found it
Racist.
funny. Undeterred, the police thought that they had enough evidence to successfully convict Stagg and arrested and charged him on the 17th of August 1993. The Central Criminal Court, which I wrote in because it said the Old Bailey, which I was like, this is probably not something that anyone else is going to get except for people who live in the UK.
I don't know, the Old Bailey is a pretty well-known legal institution.
I had never heard of it. This is for you, my international listeners, and for me.
You guys need to do more homework.
The Central Criminal Court ruled the entrapment evidence as deceptive conduct of the grossest kind, which meant that the police withdrew its case and Stagg was formally acquitted in September of 1994. Now we're going to do something that you do not like, but I'm going to rewind the clock a bit.
Oh, fucking bollocks.
It's not going to be your cup of tea.
Not going to be chronological, and therefore it's going to be a complete waste of everybody's time.
Well,
you're doing a great job.
It's important to present the case first because the police royally fucked it, which is going to be evident from the rewind of the clock.
Just get on with your jumping timology. We're not in a bloody TARDIS, but, do whatever you need to do.
I have a question, though, first.
Where do stars go in the daytime?
They're still there.
How did you know?
The question
Bloody hell.
Bloody hell, she's a genius. The question was that all of this shit with Colin Stagg, like the whole scheme to get him to implicate himself and blah, 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 they had no evidence of him being the perpetrator. From when you talk about like your education and stuff, you always say that if they don't have any evidence, it's not even gonna get to the court. I don't understand.
So the evidence that they had was the criminal psychologist and his, what did they call it? Offender profile.
Mm-hmm.
So because he fitted the offender profile of the independent criminal psychologist, that was enough evidence to take it to court. But then as soon as the judge saw it and was like, well, this offender profile you've molded around Colin Stagg rather than making an offender profile and Colin Stagg fitting it,
It was
and the fact that you've basically just tried to strong arm him into a confession means we're not taking this any further. Everybody go home.
Yeah, but people say, I think that they're trying to sweep it under the rug a bit, the whole, like, there was no evidence, because they said that, well, he fitted the profile, and I don't know, I just felt like that was a whole lot of guesswork.
Well, it was. And the fact that so much investigation and reform has come out of this case shows how bad a job both the Met Police and the criminal psychologist did. Like, the criminal psychologist got debarred, or whatever the psychology equivalent is. That's the lawyer version.
Delicensed, probably.
Yeah. From the British Psychology Institute. Like, he's no longer allowed to practice psychology. And then the Met Police were told that these honey trap kind of evidence gathering isn't allowed.
Yeah.
So at least they were told off for what they did.
And speaking of how badly they messed up the case, here it comes. In the summer of 1989, a woman who had been getting her kids ready for school was sexually assaulted in her home in Plumstead Common. 8 weeks after that attack, a woman named Pauline Napper called the police to report her son, Robert Napper, because he had confessed to her that he had raped a woman in Plumstead Common. She was told that no crime of that nature had happened, which is what? It gets worse. This was the first of many more attacks, approximately 70, during a period of 4 years, and these were dubbed the Green Chain Rapes because the attacks that followed were all perpetrated along the Green Chain Walk. Yeah. On the 25th of May 1992, a woman walking with her baby in a stroller was attacked and brutally raped and almost strangled to death. These attacks were not linked by the police to the murder of Rachel Nickell. In the summer of 1992, Robert Napper is arrested for stalking a female police employee in Plumstead. When they search his home, they find a stalker diary with maps of Plumstead Common with notes about women and fantasies. There I said question mark because they might have been him writing down his attacks about sexual violence and descriptions of violent attacks as well as weapons. The police again makes no links to the Green Chain rapist. Robert Napper is given an 8-week custodial sentence for possessing a firearm and ammunition. But these stalker diaries are being like, oh well, which I
Just a bit of fun.
found incredibly negligent. You can negligent. It's not coming out. You have to do it. Birth it. Birth the word.
I'm okay. No,
you do it.
I don't know. I think we should just let you do it and make the whole episode you trying to say that word.
It's not gonna happen. Nay.
Nay.
Which means no. Nay means no. Hashtag nay means no.
Yeah,
Okay.
it means that in Bavaria as well.
In August of 1992, the month after the murder of Rachel Nickell, Napper was taken in for questioning about the Green Chain rapes after a suspicious neighbor had called the police, but he was released. What? I didn't include that in my notes, but again, I'm like, what the fuck?
He just seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he was like, it's not me. They were like, okay.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Sorry, excuse me. He offered to give a blood sample, but failed to turn up and provide the specimen 2 times, and officers never followed up. This happens again when a different neighbor calls in to incriminate Napper as the rapist after seeing a sketch. But Napper had been eliminated as a suspect due to his 6'2" 6'2" height, as detectives decided to exclude anyone over 6 feet based on the description of a 5'7" rapist, even though the witness reports about the perpetrator's height were conflicting. So some people said less, some people said more. They were like, nah, probably not him. In April 1993, Napper's fingerprints were found on a tin box discovered buried on Wynn's Common, containing a Mauser handgun. How would you say that? Mauser handgun. Napper is never questioned. In July at that same year, in 1993, he is subject to a police report where he had been seen spying on a woman in her home. The police who responded to the call wrote in his note that Napper was a possible rapist. No follow-up is made. And they were like, where's the rapist doing all of these rapes? He's right there. They're like, where? That was a bit of my own cream. I didn't write
interpretation.
I didn't write that in my notes, but they were like, he's right here. They were like, where? They were like, here. Where?
I don't see him.
It's so horrible. In November 1993, Samantha Bisset and her 4-year-old daughter Jazmine Bisset were attacked in their home in Plumstead and were raped, murdered, and mutilated. A fingerprint belonging to Robert Napper had been found in Samantha's flat, and he was subsequently arrested and charged for the double murder. In 1995, he was convicted to a secure psychiatric facility. Paul Britton, the criminal psychologist we talked about before, who was working on all three investigations, says outright that the crimes are not linked. The police officer in charge for Samantha and Jazmine's murder were like, oh, but maybe it's the same guy. He was like, nah.
Doesn't feel like it, no.
So weird. During the trials of these murders, they realized that Robert Napper has been on the police's radar at least 8 times. 10 years after the murder of Rachel Nickell, the Scotland Yard's cold case team reviewed the case. With the advancement of DNA techniques, they were able to find a set of male DNA from Nickell's clothes. The sample was large enough to be used for ruling out suspects. This is in 2002. So now they were like, oh, there's DNA here that we can find that isn't her son or her partner. So it must be the perpetrator. But they couldn't, single out his familiar strands, I guess. No? Yes? Probably.
I don't know. Can you repeat the question? You're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now. Malcolm in the Middle.
In 2002, they find a set of male DNA that is not her son's or her partner's, so they conclude that it must be the perpetrator's on her clothes. But they can't, probably because it was just one sample, one spot. They couldn't really get his whole DNA fingerprint from it. Genetic fingerprint.
It was because the sample was so small and would have degraded over time.
So at
when
that
you
time.
Yeah, when you analyze DNA, you look into a certain number of areas of that DNA strand to be able to give a statistical analysis of how likely it is that this would be someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So when the sample's small or if the sample's degraded, you're limited in the amount of areas that you can look in.
Yeah.
To be able to map that.
So what
and to give you an example, so when DNA evidence was first established, they were looking at 7 areas of DNA, and that gave you a statistical analysis of a likelihood of it being one person in 50 million.
Mm-hmm.
About 20 years later, they were looking in 11 areas, so 7 to 11, and that gives you a statistical analysis of it being the likelihood of one person in 1 billion.
Yeah.
So the more you reduce down those areas that you can look at, the less likelihood that you can rule out a large population of people. Yeah. So the reason that they couldn't use this as a full DNA fingerprint is because either the DNA sample was too small or it was too degraded and they wouldn't have stored it under the right conditions.
They do get closer during the years that followed, but in 2002 they could only use it as ruling out other suspects.
They can rule people out, yeah.
Yeah. So in 2004, 2 years later, the DNA sample links Robert Napper to Rachel Nickell's murder. It also turns out, who knew, that the knife found near Rachel's body had Napper's fingerprints on it. And they were like, where? Where is he?
Where are the fingerprints? On the handle? What handle? Where's the handle?
Yeah. In 2008, Robert Napper was convicted of the manslaughter of Nickell on the grounds of diminished responsibility, which I'm guessing is because he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and autism, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so diminished responsibility is a legal defense term that your defense will use to try and mitigate prosecution against you. So it's basically saying that their mental functions are impaired in some way, and therefore they can't be entirely responsible for what they've committed. It was what brought the crime down from a murder charge to a manslaughter charge.
I feel like it kind of should be a murder charge, though, because from his stalker diaries and stuff, you can definitely tell that he's planning. Like, it's not random attacks, he's planning these attacks. And I feel
Yeah,
like...
but is he planning to murder them? Or is he just
Maybe.
planning to sexually assault them?
His pattern of behavior suggests that it was rape in the beginning and then it quickly escalated to murder. I think that he was planning on murdering them as well, in the end as well. Like, before he was arrested the final time. The 8 other times, people were like, where? Where is he?
Where'd he go?
Where did he come from? Where did he go? Where did he come from? Catman Joe. Okay. Napper was sentenced to be incarcerated indefinitely at Broadmoor Hospital for the criminally insane. What did you research?
That was it.
That was it?
Yep. I quite liked Justice Ognall's
Oh, no,
statement.
wait. Your microphone is underneath.
It's not underneath anything.
Okay. I can hear you now.
I can hear clearly now. The
The-
rain has gone.
The double chin has gone.
Wow, fuck you.
Well, you always say that's the case.
You're meant to tell me I'm beautiful.
You are beautiful, yes, yes.
A little chubster whose chins eat his microphone. No, I don't have anything to add.
You quite liked, you were going to say.
I like Justice Ognall's complete shutdown of the Met Police's
Case
honey
against
trap.
Colin Stagg.
What?
Case against Colin Stagg.
Oh, yeah.
What?
I just... You broke up, so it was like... Egg.
Oh, sorry.
Was that Swedish?
What did he say then?
He said that their case was not merely an excess of zeal, but a blatant attempt to incriminate a suspect by positive and deceptive conduct of the grossest kind.
Of the grossest kind. It's so gross.
Just like how once you become a justice, you're allowed to shit on people's evidence by using big fancy words and
Like
sentences
gross.
that no one would utter. Not merely an excess of zeal, but a blatant attempt to incriminate a suspect. Ugh, disgusting.
Ugh.
Get out of my courtroom.
What are you planning on doing this week when you're on vacay?
Masturbating furiously.
But for realsies, though. Do you have any plans?
Oh, I was being honest, but I'm going to finish reading The Count of Monte Cristo.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm gonna chase the magic dragon.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry for finishing your Lego for you. Otherwise, could have...
Yeah, can't do that now, can I? I might try and come up with a new tattoo idea.
Ooh, do you even have money for that?
Yeah, I got savings, bitch. It's not like I can put them towards a house, is it?
What kind of tattoo are you thinking about?
I don't know, that's why I'd have to think about it.
Makes sense, makes sense.
Such a sassy little bitch.
You should run them by me first so you don't end up with an accident.
Well, if your opinion was anything to go by, you would tell me not to get the Weeping Angel, and I actually really like that one, so fuck you and the high horse that you rode in on.
I need to do the jingle for Joe's podcast, but whenever I've tried, they just end up like horror themed. I think it's because of my depression. It's just like, and then I was
Make
like,
it
whoops.
scary. Make it scary. Make it scary and sad. Make it sad and scary. Do, do, do.
Play the jingle.
I don't know how the trumpets go.
It's my bestie's birthday on Saturday. I don't know if you know.
Wish Jakub a happy birthday for me.
Somebody kept barging on the importance of me remembering, so here I am, remembering. Rememberal.
It's gone red, but I can't remember what I've forgotten. Worst invention ever.
Story of my life. There's something I should remember, but I don't know what.
Also, you're probably not going to appreciate this because you don't like the films, but in that scene, the thing that he's forgotten are his robes.
Ah! Is he naked?
No. Pervert. He's 11.
Would have been funny though if he was like, I can't remember what I've forgotten. And then
Oh no. One is completely butt naked.
like the police in this case,
No,
they
he's...
were like, oh no, I can't remember where the rapist is. Everyone is like, he's right there. Where? Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Let it go.
What were you gonna say?
Is what the bloke said to the Met Police. Yeah, I murdered someone. Yeah, I raped someone. Let it go.
And they were like, he's probably not guilty.
He's probably a really nice chap, actually. I think it's probably this innocent bloke that was just harmlessly walking his dog and gave us his details because he wanted to be a good Samaritan. Yeah, it's probably that guy.
That seems quite likely, quite possible.
Not this guy who his own mother has called us to say he's a dirty rapist. No, probably not him. No, probably the dodgy dog walker.
The dodgy dog walker, that might be your new hashtag.
I think that should be the name of the episode.
The dodgy dog walker. Oh, I feel bad for him though. He got a nice settlement.
£720,000?
Did he get that much?
Yep.
I saw differing reports between 500 and a million.
Yeah, he got 700 odd. Do you know how much the little kid got who was scarred for life watching his mother bleed out to death? 25.
Oh God, that's nothing. Poor kid.
£25.
That's...
JK, it was 25,000. But, you know, the guy that spent a couple of days in jail, falsely accused, nearly $1 million.
Although he wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for the incompetence of the police.
Yeah,
Staggering incompetence, the grossest mishandling of any...
I still think the kids should have got more money.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, should we say goodbye to the listeners? Bye-bye, listeners. Thank you so much for listening to Midweek Murders. We'll see you next week.
Ciao, ciao.